Welcome to From Rome Info video. My name is Brother Alexis Bignolo, and I am the publisher and editor of FromRome.info, an electronic journal for news commentary about Rome, Italy, the Vatican, and the Catholic Church. In this video, I'm going to break news to the world that the conclave held last week did not validly elect a Roman pontiff, and that Cardinal Prevost is not the Roman pontiff, Leo XIV. I made a video last week showing that the bull of Pope Paul IV, Cum ex apostolatus officio, gave us the right to say the election was not valid by reason of the fact that Cardinal Prevost expressed himself in a manner contrary to the Catholic faith before his election. But in this video, I will show you that the law of Pope John Paul II, by which the recent conclave should have been held, was violated in such a way as to make every vote juridically invalid. That means none of the votes counted for anyone who won that conclave would have been valid, and that the election of no one in that conclave would have been valid. And therefore, even Cardinal Prevost's election is not valid. So hear me out on this before you react and say nasty things and fill the comments with troll kind of slop propaganda. Okay, here we go. In my recent interview in Italian at MO News on YouTube, I remarked that there were 3 violations of the papal law of John Paul II in the recent conclave. I also remarked that none of these violations would nullify the validity of the election. However, upon closer inspection of the papal law, I want to withdraw what I said and speak more precisely and say that one of these violations does in fact invalidate the recent election. First, let me quote the Polish Pope's official promulgatory clause in his papal law on conclaves, Universi Dominici Gregis, from the Vatican's English translation. I read from paragraph 2. As determined above, I hereby declare abrogated all constitutions and orders issued in this regard by the Roman pontiffs, and at the same time I declare completely null and void anything done by any person, whatever his authority, knowingly or unknowingly, in any way contrary to this Constitution. The key phrases here are anything done by anyone with any authority. That means even the cardinals. As been seen from the second paragraph, when the Pope declares completely null and void anything done, this has to do even with voting. Yet in the recent conclave of May 2025, the cardinals allowed 133 cardinal electors to vote at the same time, a thing which is expressly forbidden by John Paul II's law in paragraph 33, which says, Part 2, the election of the Roman Pontiff, Chapter 1, electors of the Roman Pontiff. The right to elect the Roman Pontiff belongs exclusively to the cardinals of the Holy Roman Church, with the exception of those who have reached their 80th birthday before the day of the Roman Pontiff's death, or the day when the Apostolic See becomes vacant. The maximum number of cardinal electors must not exceed 120. The right of active election by any other ecclesiastic dignitary or the intervention of any lay power of whatever grade or order is absolutely excluded. The key language here is strictly binding. The maximum number of cardinal electors must not exceed 120. So that means in the papal law, whenever it says cardinal electors, the number cannot exceed 120. Yet the cardinals violated this directly, claiming to use their authority to interpret ambiguous sections of the papal law. But there is absolutely nothing ambiguous about this rule. And as I said in my Italian interview with MO News on YouTube, instead of violating the law, they could have chosen lots and have had 13 cardinal electors voluntarily abstain from voting during each round of the balloting. And thus they would have allowed only 120 cardinals to vote at any given time. That the cardinals did not do this causes the election to be doubtful on account of the promulgatory clause by Pope John Paul II, which causes any action contrary to the rules of the law to be null and void. That means 13 votes in each balloting were null and void and could not be counted. But according to the papal law in paragraph 68, where it reads, if the number of ballots does not correspond to the number of electors, the ballots must all be burned and a second vote taken at once. Now, the plain context of this rule has to do with the maximum number of 120 cardinal electors. So when 133 voted, it was juridically impossible that the number of votes counted not exceed the number of 120 cardinal electors permitted to vote. It was also juridically impossible to determine which of the 13 votes should not have been counted. This means every balloting session had to burn the votes, not count them, and no vote during that session was juridically valid. But this was done in each of the 4 ballots, at the end of which it was declared that Cardinal Prevost was elected. All this means that the votes were juridically null and void, and that means Cardinal Prevost was not elected validly, even if he's not a manifest heretic whose election would have been invalidated by the bull of Paul IV, cum ex apostolatus officio, as I have explained in English and Italian here at From Rome Info News. Once again, as in the case of the renunciation of Pope Benedict XVI, it is to Pope John Paul II and his wisdom as a legislator that we can say with 100% certainty that the conclaves of 2013 and 2025 are null and void, and that in each no one was elected the Roman Pontiff. So the importance of this discovery is now we have 2 grounds on which to say with certitude that Cardinal Prevost is not the Pope. God bless. Ave Maria. Please like and share this video and distribute it to all your friends, all the priests and bishops you know, and all the religious, because the conclave should be done in accordance with the rules. And what happened in May last week is null and void.